at least, and the renderings that came out via the Tennessee Titans yesterday in Manica of who put this together. So we've got videos, Zach, that we're going to play that the Titans released, and we've got 8 pictures, 8 still images that we're going to be able to dive through and figure out what we like, what we maybe don't like, what you guys like and don't like about the new stadium renderings for the Tennessee Titans and the building that's supposed to open by the time the 2026 NFL season begins. So we're going to go through and we're going to grade it A through F. What do you think about it? There's a lot of different features that we'll dive into, what we like, what we might not like about it as well. And then the Titans made some more shuffling at the wide receiver position again yesterday. So we will discuss that as well, and really the impact and who will have an impact when it comes to the wide receiver position and new Titan Chris Conley. Then it's Wednesday, so we will throw shade like we always do at the end of the show Wednesday. I have one shade. I hope I don't have a second shade by the time we get to throwing shade, Zach. So welcome in. Let's get this thing off and rolling.
Yeah, I have 2 shades and 1 shade. So
a 2-for-1?
There are 2 shades and 1 shade, though. It's just one shade.
It's a 2-for-1. It's 2 birds, 1 shade.
Yeah. Cost of 1, you get 2, right? So yes. We're doing 2-for-1s on a shade day on Wednesday morning. We welcome you guys into this show. We broadcast live each and every day, each and every morning at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and we will tweet out segment by segment on our Twitter handle at A to Z Sports. You need to follow us there. That's at ATOZ Sports. It's a great follow as we cover the Titans. We cover the Tennessee football in general across the state, but we've got pregame, postgame, we've got live streams, we've got content galore, and some insider information at times. You never know when we're going to break a story, and so You got to be prepared to follow us at A to Z Sports. So follow us there and subscribe to our YouTube page. That is probably one of the easiest ways to get and consume our content, whether they're YouTube shorts, whether they're long form video, live streams, short clips. We've got you covered. We've got a great team on A to Z Sports that help us do that. That is YouTube. Just search A to Z Sports Nashville and subscribe to our channel there. We're almost to 10,000. We just passed 9,000 yesterday. So we're on the road to 10,000. You guys can help us get there by telling your friends about that. And you can help us get to 100,000. We're close to 90,000. That's a lot of math early in the morning, but how you guys can just help is share the show. Bottom left corner of your screen, share now to public. Sharing is caring and caring is sharing. I'm talking about our Facebook page. So share the show around on our Facebook page. More people are going to be piling in over the next 5 to 10 minutes. This is going to be a good show. We're reacting to something that everybody can look, everybody can form an opinion, and everybody can grade. So equal opportunity today on this Wednesday morning. Everybody is invited. Let's get this party started on a shade day.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media because we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Find links to the show on our Twitter timeline, on Instagram. Also hit us up on TikTok as well. But we got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us and they help out you guys, like Wilson County Hyundai. If you're looking for a new ride, make Wilson County Hyundai a part of your new car buying process at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans. That means better coverage, rates, and service. Learn more about a health plan for you, fbhp.com/ATOZ. And Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers. If you've been injured in a car wreck, call them for a free case consultation. The official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans, their number is 800-800-4600. So, Zach, let's go ahead and get it fired up. We've got the video the Titans released yesterday for the new stadium renderings in downtown Nashville. I get you fired up right there. I don't know about you, but pretty cool to see that for the first time. But what was your initial reactions when the Titans released those stadium renderings yesterday, really right after our show ended yesterday?
Go get my blood pressure checked because of all the heartbeats that were going on there. Like I get the marketing of it. And I actually think they did a good job of the marketing. It's a teaser video, right? So they don't show you all, they just show you clips. It's also a rendering, right? So there's some give and take there. But to be honest, I was very, very impressed with, I had no idea like what we found out about the stadium and the look of the stadium and the setup of the stadium based on there already being a stadium right there. Mm-hmm. We didn't really know what it was going to be. Now, we knew that they were eventually going to demolish Nissan Stadium after they build this stadium. So it's not just going to look like this in the snap of a finger. It's going to take some time. Just like Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, they had to blow up the Georgia Dome right next door. So that same concept. Now, the Georgia Dome Mercedes-Benz is close to downtown, but it's not in the heart of downtown. The heart of downtown in Nashville is Nissan Stadium across the river. And I was impressed, though. I really liked, and I thought that they paid off what they kind of told us.
Yeah.
It had a SoFi feel.
Right.
And you know what it really reminded me of? If you've been down, and also I know you don't frequent, and I don't anymore, Broadway on the honky tonks, right? When you live in Nashville for as long as we have, it's more of a special occasion. Hey, we're going to go day drinking once a year in downtown Nashville.
Right.
But recently been down there, and the Fifth and Broad concept across from Bridgestone Arena, it's like that they took that same architect and built a stadium. But I love the glass dome on top. I like the sleek look. It didn't get too cutesy with the music theme, and I was glad for that. It looks like a nice, high-quality, expensive, sophisticated stadium. That would be the way that I would describe what we just saw, and we'll show you the pictures of the renderings from that video, though.
Yeah, and so I do think that is pretty impressive there too. Expensive it is because it's going to take $2.1 billion to do the whole project, which I did.
Which is not that expensive compared to SoFi.
Yes.
I mean, you got to think about that.
For sure. And wrapped in that price is also the demolition cost of the current stadium too. I think that's something that we always have to remember.
What they should do is just throw a few more extra dollars, and after they're done demolishing Nissan Stadium, demolish the P&G scrapyard right next door. Just I don't know if they have a little bit.
I don't know if they have the legalities to be able to do that, but maybe just oops, our bad. Didn't mean to drop that dynamite over there. But here are the renderings, and we'll play the video again throughout. But here are the renderings the Titans released yesterday to go along with that video, and so that's an outside look, obviously, at the decks and the ability to lounge outside. Another nice look at what the stadium looks like at nighttime with a lot of the two-tone blue uplighting that I think is pretty sweet. And then again, inside the stadium, interesting there too, because they say 55 to 60,000 seats. It looks like there are 4 levels right there, and a couple of those middle levels, smaller level, maybe some boxes to go along with it. That would be like the club level as well. So pretty cool looking inside. And Zach, you mentioned the glass roof. It's domes. It's a dome, right? There's no retractable roof, which we thought was the smart thing to do, but you do get a little bit of the sunshine coming through with the glass roof. So what was your takeaway from these 3 renderings before we dive into some screenshots?
Well, I've been a proponent of what the idea was because it was justified. The dome looks cool. It doesn't look like the Astrodome, right? It looks like a new age stadium. The glass, I think, separates and makes SoFi look really cool. And look, the Titans play a lot of noon games, guys. Mm-hmm. So like you're going to get a lot of sunlight in there. So I'm curious to see how the shadows are engineered on the field. But I like the levels. You've got your suites. The other thing, when I looked at this picture, I sat there and I said, do you think that there will be standing room only opportunities? Because Cowboy Stadium, I've been there numerous times. I went there, actually went to the first ever Cowboy game in Cowboy Stadium, which was a preseason game against the Tennessee Titans. The first actual regular season was against the Giants, but they had standing room only. I've been to Thanksgiving Day Cowboys Eagles games, right? Like you can go in there and you can, now it is a mad rush to go get your spot in the standing room only areas, but the tickets, and I don't know what they cost today, but when I got them years ago, the $30, right? Very inexpensive. You don't have a seat, but you can go eat the food. You can go eat hot chicken. You can go eat Slim and Huskies or whatever beer you drink, right? Like whatever local. And that's something that the Titans have been very good about, bringing in local vendors to have that Nashville vibe of the restaurant industry in and around town in their stadium. But I loved the pictures and the renderings. I thought they did a fantastic job. I'm going to double down on that.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people, G-Man says there were 69,000 plus at the Colts-Titans game this past Sunday. Going to miss those other 14,000 fans. And I did see a couple other comments. Timothy saying number of seats is disappointing because, the Titans and Burton Nihil have thrown around 55,000 to 60,000. So I wonder if there are 55,000 like actual chairs, and then maybe you have the built-in extra 5,000 for standing room for whatever the box suites look like, or the auxiliary, whatever that turns into. So it'll be the smallest stadium in the NFL. And somebody also asked, does that guarantee the Titans the Super Bowl? Well, yeah, the Titans can get a Super Bowl because I saw Buck Rising ask Burke Nihil yesterday, and Sam Phelan did reporting on this the week before, that the 70,000 minimum seat rule for a Super Bowl has not been a thing for a long time. In fact, where the Super Bowl is this upcoming year out in Arizona, they only have like 64,000 seats. And this is at least their second Super Bowl that they've hosted in that stadium. So again, the Super Bowl will be here if this and when this stadium gets built, regardless of the seats, because the NFL has told the Titans for a fact that will be the case.
Well, that's why they built it, right? They built it for events like that. And it just had, Nashville had to catch up. 5-7 years ago, they didn't have the hotel capacity to accomplish that feat. They just didn't. Now, you need a new age stadium. You obviously need a dome or retractable roof because the Super Bowl is in February, and February in Nashville is a coin flip. It could be downpour snow. It could be downpour rain. It could be 75 degrees. Like, you just don't know, right? So it's a crapshoot when it comes to the date of that, but it will bring, and this is, I think, where the other philosophy is. NCAA March Madness, Final Four. How much of those stadiums are actually filled? Right? Well, like, I don't feel like the Final Four is a sold-out crowd in those massive stadiums. Now,
there's multiple ways they do that. Like in the big-ass football arenas, when they had the Final Four, they put the court like in like the red zone, right? And then they have a bleachers kind of half it off. But I think with the style that the stadium's going to be and what Burke Nihil has said about there's not going to be a bad seat in the house, and look, a basketball court will basically be tiny there in the center, but I think there's an opportunity to use nearly every seat plus extra seating on the actual field for the NCAA basketball tournament Final Four championship games. If that's what they want to do then they will be able to make that happen. So
I want to bring something up real quick before we ask our question, get everybody involved, because we've shown you and we'll continue to show some of the exterior of what it looks like. But Austin, I want to ask you this question, because this is something that I think I just thought about this morning. What do you think the impact, because of the size of being less, will be for Bridgestone Arena? Bridgestone Arena prides itself on being one of the top arenas, and arena and stadiums are different, I understand that, but the top arena in the country in consistent concerts, sold out. They do hockey, they do basketball tournaments, they do concert, they do everything. And now with the smaller stadium, you know, you don't have to have a Rolling Stones or a, you know, Taylor Swift to get to 70,000. You have to have those to get to 70,000. Now you're talking about 55, where in a concert you do block off. Now you're down to 40. Do you think that will impact Bridgestone Arena?
No, because I don't think it does at all, because the Bridgestone Arena events, like I think Lizzo was in town, like you still put 23,000 people in a concert in Bridgestone Arena like it's nothing. Now there's a big difference in 23,000 people for a concert and nearly 50,000 people for a concert, because the concert, Zach, they're going to fill up the field. Like the field is going to be full of people too. And so you're going to add extra tens, thousands of people on the field. So I still think that it'll have
so hear me out. The destination of Nashville, right? Like now they have a stadium that's state of the art. You can get suites. Like, I don't think it matters. People travel all over the world to come to Nashville, especially because it's Music City. Here's my thing. I believe there will be much more concerts than ever before in there because of the state-of-the-art facility that will possibly take away from Bridgestone from the bigger acts.
I don't think so. No, the
bigger acts, yes. I'm not talking about and look, Lizzo is Lizzo, but like I'm talking about the massive acts. Like now, this is going to be a check mark on those stadium tours that maybe Nissan Stadium wasn't.
It's what you just said though. It's the stadium tours. Like the Nissan Stadium was still getting stadium tours, and that's not affecting.
But only
Bridgestone.
Like 2 a year, 1 a year.
Well, and then there's CMA Fest. But I disagree, Zach. I think that there will be more stadium tours that come here, but Bridgestone will still do its own events. So I don't necessarily think that's the case. But A to Z Sports, let's get everybody more involved here. Let's grade it, because we showed you the 3 renderings in the video that the Titans released. The video is quick. So Zach and I went through and took screenshots from the video that show us different angles of the stadium, so we can really kind of pause that and talk about what we like, what we don't like. So here's our question for you guys. How do you grade the look of the stadium from these pictures? How do you grade it? A+ through F? I don't care. Whatever you think it is. How do you grade the look of the stadium? And we'll go through the pictures in the video again. But first, let me tell you guys about Hughes and Coleman. They're the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans, and they have the muscle and the resources to battle the insurance company for you. And so if you've been injured in a car wreck, call Hughes and Coleman for a free case consultation. Their number is 800-800-4600. They've recovered over $1 billion, and that's a lot of money. The Titans are about to spend $2 billion on the stadium. Hughes and Coleman could pay for a lot from the money they got from the insurance companies for their clients across the state of Tennessee and in Kentucky over the last 30 years. So check them out. If you've been injured in a car wreck, call them for a free case consultation. 800-800-4600, principal office in Nashville, Tennessee.
A to Z Sports, we are powered by BetMGM. Download the app today. They're the king of the sports book. And you can use that promo code ATOZ Sports, all one word, in the promo code tab. Get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 on pro football. You got Thursday night football, Bucks Ravens tomorrow. Tom Brady trying to right the ship. I'm going to have my popcorn ready for that. And you can have your app ready to make some cash off Lamar and Tom. Use the promo code ATOZ Sports. New users, risk-free bet up to $1,000.
All right, tons of comments have flown in. How do you grade the Titans' new stadium? Let's play the video one more time for those who did not see it off the top of the show. So there it is. And by the way, Manica is the company that designed it. That's the architecture. What's your heart rate at?
57, but it's rising after that video.
All right. So how do you grade the stadium renderings? And we'll go through more screenshots from that video. But Zach, I'll send you to the chat. I'm seeing a lot of different grades and a lot of people that maybe don't like some things about it though.
Yeah, I mean, look at the array right here. Steven goes B plus, Tighten Up goes A plus, Jacoby goes D minus. So right there, Nick Martinez goes A plus plus from Jason. William says A plus. Jake loves it A plus. Lane A minus. Noah A. Stephen King A minus. John B plus. Honky Tonk A. Ricochet Ray goes A. Dadson A plus. Rayless says C, so there's a lower grade. Bama Brad goes A. Trevor says my issue is going to be parking. Where would parking be? We'll talk about that here in a second. Justin says A. Tiffany goes A. McLean says A minus. A plus from Jamel. Ethan says B. Guy A. Xavier A. We've got a couple of B pluses from G-Man and Eric. Marco goes A plus. Mike with a B. Here's a string of A's. Brent, Naza A minus, KG, the Sunken Grave. That's going to be Nissan Stadium after this thing's built. Albert says A plus. Jarrell says A, and A from Danny. So, I mean, we got high grades, and again, we got more grades coming in, which we appreciate all the comments. But these are impressive from the chat. They are impressed by these pictures and the photos that were released.
I don't know who this is, but I think somebody has created a fake YouTube account for me. That's not me.
It's a fake YouTube. So is that your grade, Austin?
That is not me. It is also not my grade. So I don't know who has so much time on their hands that they think it would be funny to create a fake me YouTube. That's fine. But that's not me, but or my grade. Zach, I like this a lot. I'm going to give it an A. I'm not going to go A plus, but I am going to give it an A.
So why not?
Why not an A plus? Because it's not real yet. Like we're just grading the renderings, and so like I think it looks sick. I think it looks really cool. Overall, I think the inside of the stadium, I want to see the screens. How big are they going to be? Are they going to be big enough in there? Because the Jumbotron is so important in today's football attending experience. And if the Jumbotrons are not big enough, that's a problem. And there's two of them right there. I don't know if there's going to be two more on the opposite side.
Oh, yeah, there is.
Yeah, but the Jumbotrons need to be big enough. The outside, I like. I know some people think it looks like a Topgolf, or some people think it looks like a convention center. I think probably the most popular knock that I've seen on it is that it doesn't look like a stadium. Guys, it doesn't look like a stadium from the 90s or before then, but it looks like stadiums look like now. Like stadiums that are built now look like this. They don't look like concrete monstrosities. They look sleek. They look and have more functional space. Like if you look at Nissan Stadium now, there is so much non-functional space on the outside of the stadium where, you've got to have, the infrastructure, to build the stands to go high enough. But at least when you do it and make it look like this, now you've got some cool things you can do outside of that structure to create more experience. And so that's why it doesn't look like like a stadium you think should look like, because they're actually adding more functionality to the outside of it. I think it looks great.
I love it. It's an A plus, and I never give A pluses. I don't even know the last time I gave an A plus. Usually because we're talking about football, but A plus. I love this thing, and I had no idea what they were going to come out with, what they thought that they were going to do prior to a couple of weeks ago when they released, hey, this is our plan. And then now we have the renderings. I think this looks sick. Like this is a place that I want to go to. I want to go there. I like that. If that's how I justify my grade, they're going to have nice craft beers. They're going to have good food. It's going to be all state of the art. It's going to have that. Look, I'd like to see the Grove Park to see what that's going to look like. Right. That's going to be on down the road after they blow up the old stadium. I love the glass because it has that. The SoFi feel is new age. I think what you said was absolutely correct. this is not your grandmother's stadium, right? This ain't when Bud was alive. This is Amy, and I saw this comment, Amy's house. This is Amy's house. Amy's
Whose
helping.
house?
This is Amy's house. So this is an A+. I love the look. They didn't go, and like I said, they didn't go too deep into the music thing. They kept it Titans. They kept it Tennessee with the TriStar. It's light blue. Like this embodies, like, I don't know. I just feel there's light.
Yeah. Doesn't it feel like there's natural light to it? Because I can't stand when, this is not a knock on Bridgestone Arena, because one of my favorite things to do is to go to Bridgestone Arena for either the SEC men's basketball tournament or when they host the NCAA tournament, and just go inside and be there for like 4 games in a day and forget if it's light or dark outside. Like, I love doing that. Like, but with this stadium, you're going to have that natural sun that you can still like not feel like you've been in a casino gambling for like 11 hours and you don't know what time
ripping heaters, playing slots.
Yeah, you have no idea what time it is until you walk out. Oh my gosh, the sun's coming up. You at least have the natural sunlight that I do like that overall.
Now,
because it'll still feel like a noon game, and it'll also still feel like a Monday night, Sunday night primetime game.
You'll lose most of your money like you would walking out of a casino because of the prices. But that's another thing that I am curious about, because Atlanta and Arthur Blank took a new approach on concessions. I'm not sure, and I don't think that the Titans are going to take that approach, but they wanted to go affordable pricing in Atlanta. Are they going to do that, or is it still going to be $13 beers and, $12 for a really bad slice of pizza? Mm-hmm. They have to improve. Now, that I actually think is a separate problem. I think that is due to, people not wanting to volunteer or people not wanting to work. I think that's another societal issue. Hard to get good people that are excited to go. But, it's a difference to go into work in Nissan Stadium and then going to work in the state-of-the-art, brand new. There's a cool factor to that, right? Oh, you work at the brand new stadium? That must be awesome, because not a lot of people will be able to go into the ins and outs. They have to improve service. I hope they improve pricing. But here's the last thing. It is going to cost a lot of money, like, to the fan. The ticket prices are going to go up. The PSLs are going to go up. And with inflation, that is not going to be fun and I will speak for the people in the chat that are just the hard-nosed blue-collar workers that have been diehard Tennessee Titans fans since Steve McNair, Eddie George, Frank Wycheck, and Bud Adams. And that's just the truth. It's just the facts when you build a new stadium. And so those people are going to be pushed out. Yeah,
well, it's like because I talked to my dad about this earlier in the week. When you buy a PSL back in the 90s, or whenever you got your PSL with the Titans over the last several years, the expectation is that you have that for life, right? That is what that means. It's what it's supposed to mean. But now, well, no, it means you had it for about 25 years. And 25 years might be life prison. I don't know, but it's not a life PSL, because a new stadium comes around. And if you paid $2,000 a seat for the old one back in the 90s, now it's going to be probably $6,000 a seat in the new stadium in 2026 or 2027.
I don't know if it will be as high as 6, but I think it'll be closer to 4.
But again, it'll be.
But you got to come up with a new two more grand.
But now, like, if you've got 4 seats and you paid $8,000 for them the first time, and you thought you had that, now you got to write another fat check after that.
Now you're $16,000 down with 4 seats, and you have not even purchased a ticket.
Yeah, and what's the ticket price? So there's a lot.
You hadn't even bought an ice cold beer before the first quarter.
Exactly. Yeah, and you paid for parking to get in.
So look, if you had season tickets, and I've never had season tickets to anything besides when I was in college watching Ole Miss lose every weekend. but that was student season tickets. I've never had our own season tickets in my life because we've been in the sports industry. They're either covering the team, either covering at the game, or doing a pregame, halftime, postgame show. Now that won't be the rest of my life. At one point, wife and kids, you get 4 seats, 16 grand plus what? You're up to 20 something thousand without even purchasing consent. You're going to probably have to have about $30,000 to take a family of 4 every week for 8 weekends plus 2 preseason games, or 9 if you get the home weekend, right? Because you get 17 games. Yeah, because there's 1 preseason, so there's a shakeup there. But I'm sitting there saying, I'm going to take, this is a private school. You got private school to go to 9 games a year.
Yeah, right.
Not including playoffs. Playoffs.
Yeah. All right. So there's a few questions that and William just says, I'm not having kids now. I can't afford that.
I just gave William a vasectomy right here live on air.
All right. So there's been a few things that I've seen in the chat pop up about, parking situation, the theme of the stadium, and it not looking like, people wanted like Roman or Greek, Colosseum type look too. So we'll go over a couple of those, and another screenshot of the video that I think best looks at the bird's eye blimp view of the stadium that we haven't showed yet. Overall, and Liz says it's the most expensive Topgolf ever, but so we'll go through a couple of those.
They'll have Topgolf tournaments in there. They do those in stadiums now.
Absolutely. Well, you can probably hit a golf ball from the top of the stadium to actual Topgolf at this point.
If you're Bryson DeChambeau jacked up on muscle milk,
pull off the big stick and see what happens. All right, so I'm going to go through those. The Greek / Roman Catholic, Colosseum type things, parking and others. But first, Zach, tell everybody about Wilson County Hyundai.
Yeah, Wilson County Hyundai, you can get the state-of-the-art brand new ride right there in your garage. Wilson County Hyundai, all you got to do is just go to wilsoncountyhyundai.com, look at their inventory. They got the brand new Palisade, which is a full-size SUV with third-row seating and all the bells and whistles. Got different modes like sport mode, snow mode, if it's February, as we said. You got everything that you need right there in the Palisade. It's not your mother's minivan like back in the day, just like this new stadium is not like a 1990s stadium. This is new and fresh. It's fuel efficient when it comes to the Sonata, the Elantra, the Tucson, and the Santa Fe, and state-of-the-art when it comes to the Ioniq, and the Ioniq is battery powered. Wilson County Hyundai has your perfect make and model of Hyundai. You just have to go find it. That's wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
Don't forget, download that BetMGM app. And when you do, you can sign up using our code ATOZ Sports, and you get a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000. It is the best way to join the BetMGM family and get your sports betting fix in with BetMGM. That's code ATOZ Sports when you sign up to unlock a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, since the only new customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualifications and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued is knowledgeable for bets or site credit. For bets expiring 7 days. For problem game support, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. So a couple common concerns / questions about the stadium. And there you go. I just saw this from Jimbo. He's not the only one. Where will they put the parking? So I just thought that was a funny way to say it. Where will they put the parking? I don't know. So from what I think I understand about it is that you see this spot here. Yeah, there's not really any parking lots. There's big gray pavement spaces around it. There's a lot of buildings. There's a lot of green. There's a lot of cool looking things there. So Zach, from what I understand, that there will be some underground parking garages that are supposed to be built in. Have you heard the same thing? That's what I've heard some of that. And I think you can do that. I think with the buildings, there can be buildings where there's parking garages on the first, 3 or 4 levels of the building. Then it's whatever it is on top of that. But I have heard that I know University of Tennessee has an underground parking garage in between Neyland Stadium and Thompson Bowling Arena, and they use that for a lot of games too.
Well, so that philosophy would be a state-of-the-art facility like this new stadium is going to yield state-of-the-art club seats and higher priced venues where you can watch, right? So the boxes will probably, there'll be more of them to house more people out of the 55,000, and those higher priced tickets will be able to buy a parking pass or come with a parking pass to at least get people in there, because I'm not saying those type of people are less likely to tailgate, but they're less likely to tailgate, right? So tailgating, the fun part about tailgating is outside, especially like Titans fans know. You go outside, you get your grill, you drink cold beer, you go to the game, and noon game, you come back out, you drink a couple more cold beers, and you go home, right? You let the traffic die down. I bet you that a lot of the parking within the stadium will be for those club seats and the boxes. There will be more of those, so that will house more people. But I think, Jimbo does bring up a good concern is where's everybody going to tailgate, especially before the Grove area, I don't know what they're going to call it, gets built, right? That's going to take time to clear out all of Nissan Stadium after being demolished. That's going to take a year.
Yeah, because tailgating, you tailgate next to your car because that's convenience. And so where you just, you have everything loaded up in the car, and then you open the back, and then that's what the tailgate means. That's literally what it means on the tailgate. And so that will be,
here's the problem. I'll tell you this. Yeah. You have a river. Yeah. Then you have a demolished stadium. Then you have a interstate. So you're surrounded, and you don't have much room. And on the right side, well, it depends on how you look at it. As I mentioned, you have the scrapyard that gives no room. You've got the pedestrian bridge. So there's some parking over there, but they're going to have to figure that out.
Yeah. And Eric Charles says, look at all the grass though. Yeah. And they're not going to let people park on the grass and ruin that grass. They want the grass.
Starwood Amphitheater.
Yeah. They want there to be grass, greenery, tailgating areas, but now you're asking people to lug their stuff from their car to a space. You might see more like corporate business run tailgates where they have the tent set up and all the equipment there. So you just join a tailgate instead of hosting your own tailgate with your friends in your parking space.
And so McLean brings up transit. Burke is trying to modernize the space.
Sure.
Transit is tough in this city. They've tried that a couple of times. It's just the infrastructure of Nashville is not set up like other cities. And they tried, I think a few years ago, they came up with, the $2 billion transit thing. It was going right down West End. It's not set up that way. And I'm probably giving them too much credit, but when you build this type of building, parking has got to be top of mind. Well, so they've figured this out.
You say that, but Geodis Park was just built and they kind of forgot about parking. Geodis Park was built to host 30,000.
I can't speak on that. I've never been to a soccer game.
But no, here's the facts on Geodis Park. I have not been there either, but I know this. That stadium holds 30,000 people and they have 5,000 parking spaces. And it is a problem for people that are going to Geodis Park, and because of the neighborhood it's in, there's one way in, one way out, and it bottlenecks like crazy, and it's not good. So you say that, yeah, of course they're going to think about parking. And I thought about that too until Geodis Park forgot about parking.
And so I trust Darius. If he says it, I've never been to a game. So I've been by people walking to and from a game at a point. That is just, I have not gone and experienced that. So I can't sit here and say something sucks when I don't.
Darius said that he had to walk 10 minutes to get to the stadium. Now when I was
that's
a kid,
not bad.
That's not bad at all. When I was a kid going to Titans games in the early 2000s, we used to park at the old truck wash in Nashville. And that was like a 20-minute walk to the stadium. But so there's just parking areas all over the place.
Well, I will say this, and actually Liz brings this up. She goes, I can't parallel park, so we're gonna have to figure this out. there is a lot of street parking in the Wedgwood, Houston area. And so it squunches the road down for drivers, and it's hard to park. So look, I'm not saying that Geodis Park is a good situation. I've just never experienced it. But based on maybe what you guys are saying is that it's not that great, and they didn't think of that.
Geodis Park kind of was like, oh yeah, we're still working on that. Like it was like, oh, but the first game's now, and you only have a sixth of parking spaces per person that can go in.
Well, and there's something different about soccer compared to American football on Sundays, right? Soccer's schedule is moving. I'm not saying that soccer fans don't tailgate in America. They do, but they don't tailgate at the rate of NFL football fans on a noon Sunday game.
But still, like if you're going to the game, you have to have places for somebody to park. Like it is a massive issue. 30,000, so that if the Titans only have 10,000 parking spots for their 60,000 people, that's going to be an absolute disaster. So that's the parking situation. Again, I've heard that some potential underground garages and garages attached to the other buildings that come up around the stadium will be an aspect of it, but we'll see how that goes.
Here, just while we're on subject.
Okay.
Can you park well?
Yes, I'm a good parker.
Parallel park?
Absolutely. Backing in.
Some people, like, again, because Bobby, no, it's Trevor. Trevor says, I can't even park. Some people admit they can't park.
No, I'm a good parker. And I learned when I went through my driving school when I was 15 years old, the driving instructor said, we're going to learn how to do this the right way. We're going to downtown Nashville. So I learned how to park on Rosa Parks outside the Capitol building in the middle of the damn workday in downtown Nashville. You're getting thrown into this thing. Don't hit anybody. And I got it.
I will never forget. So they had this thing at my high school, I guess, that you go to class. Right. And then they get like, I don't know what incentive they give you, but I remember the first time, and I feel like most human beings remember the first time that they ever got on an interstate. And I felt like I was in the fifth element. I felt like things were moving at 10,000 miles an hour. And I was not prepared that first moment. Now it's obviously we do it so often, but that moment in time, I will never forget in a car. And I now drive a truck. So my parking experience is a little different. I'm not here for speed. I'm here for efficiency. I got to get in. I got to get the right spot. But I do remember that time, first time ever on the interstate. I thought that I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, McLean says Austin went to driving school. Well, everyone else in Tennessee took the 5th period class. Zach's the private school kid here.
I went to private school and I went to driving class.
Yes,
you can't hate me for that. I'm trying to get taught. It would be worse if I was the kid and everybody knows that person that has had 6 wrecks in high school. They just keep going through cars.
That's right. All right. So
everybody
another thing
person.
Yeah, right. So parking, we've got that on the not going with the Greek mythology type theme. I did hear Burke Nihill talk about that yesterday with Buck because that's a thing of put columns up there, make it a Coliseum again. And Burke basically said that his favorite building is the Ryman. And the Ryman is a legitimate 100-year-old building, right? And so they did not want to build something to look like a 100-year-old building. They wanted to build something modern because you don't build something new to make it look like it's ancient or historic. So they built something that was going to fit the modernization of downtown Nashville. And I think they did that.
And before we move on to our football topic, let's just take a moment to give a little golf clap and be joyous that they are finally going to tear down those mother effing dollhouses in Nissan Stadium. They're gone. We love you, Logan's Roadhouse, but it's time to go.
Logan's has been out for a decade.
Well, yeah, it went bankrupt, but it's time to go.
Yes.
The dollhouses are no more. So pack it up and let's ride.
Yes, and I think there should be a public viewing of the demolition. They should demolish the dollhouses before they just blow up the whole old thing.
They're gone.
That'd be great. The other thing I wanted to look at is the screenshot that I was curious about was the widest view that you can get from that video. It's a quick video, but I thought this was interesting too, because this gives you the biggest, best view of the entire downtown with the river. Because when you look at all of these, it's really hard to see the entire picture of what it's going to look like. But then, finding this one where you see the river, you see the bridges, where everything's at. And so you can tell.
Those are the parking lots. We found the parking lots.
No, those are building tops.
Are you sure?
They might be parking lots.
Yeah, to the right. We found the parking lots.
No, Zach, they're building tops. They are, so it's like they're transparent building tops because you can look at the interstate to the below the state.
Damn, you're right.
You see the shadows?
Man, I thought we found the parking lot.
No, there's shadows right there. So that is not the parking lot. That is building like placeholders, if you will.
Well, sorry guys, no tailgating.
But again, I think so. Now you see in between the new stadium and the river is where the old stadium was, where they have some of that extra.
And Assad's right. The roof looks like a wireless phone charger.
I think it looks like a PlayStation.
Yeah, it does. It has that PlayStation 5 type vibes,
which is better than the PlayStation 1. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting there overall to see that.
Well, I love it. I'm excited for it. I think it's great for the city. Obviously, Nashville is growing at a very, very high rate, and A to Z Sports Nashville is not going anywhere, so it helps our business and it helps all of our community as we get to talk about these things. And football's growing in Nashville.
Right. And Caleb, before we move to our actual football topic, Caleb does say this feels like an off-season news, kind of weird. All this is getting released mid-season. No, it is exciting though. I think there's reasons for that. One, they need to get it approved ASAP, and they need to break ground immediately after they get it approved. And the reason why it's happening now is because of the push that they had this summer for the World Cup that they could not get done. And so now they already have been working a lot on this. And Burke Nihill, Titans president, said yesterday with Buck that, they have these renderings now because of how far along the process they are in this, because they want this to get approved. So normally at this stage of the planning, they would not have the fancy renderings that we have been able to look at today. They wouldn't be there yet, but they are trying to go all in on this to have this be approved as quickly and as easily as possible so they can start breaking ground on it so it can be ready for the 2026 season. If it's ready for the 2026 season, I will be surprised, but they have to be this way and this far ahead to even have that a possibility.
Yeah, and to Caleb's point, he is right. It does seem weird, but I think you explained that well, in the sense of it's not about the PR-ness to this. It's just about the efficiency to get from point A to B to C to D to launch. In 2026, I mean, just like life goes at you, you're going to blink twice and all of a sudden it's going to be 2026.
Yeah. Why I think Chris Conley will have a bigger impact on the Titans than the other wide receiver.
Saddle up, partner. Saddle up.
Why I think Chris Conley will have a bigger impact than these other attempts. But real quick, let me tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, go to who you trust, and that should be the Bone and Joint Institute, because they have specialists in every type of aspect of injury. Regardless of how you get hurt, it happens. Just like in football, injuries happen in life, and you go to the experts, boneandjointtn.org.
A to Z Sports, we are powered by BetMGM. Download the app today. You see that promo code right there on the screen, ATOZ Sports. Risk-free bet up to $1,000 for new users. They are trusted by A to Z. We are trusted by them. We have a great partnership. We love BetMGM. You should love them too. Download the app today. Risk-free bet up to $1,000. Those promo codes go up and down, I feel like, with some of the other sports books. ours stays true, and they have promotions, don't get me wrong, but ours stays true where you can sign up today with A to Z Sports as the promo code. You get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. You can't beat that during the season. Download the app in the App Store today.
All right, so the Titans yesterday continued the wide receiver shuffle as they signed Chris Conley to the 53-man roster, and rookie Kyle Phillips, 118 in, 118 out, goes to injured reserve. So I don't know what number Chris Conley will be wearing for the Titans, but Chris Conley has been in the league since 2015. He played at Georgia in college, and somebody that Zach and I actually interviewed on radio when he was coming into the NFL through the draft process. But he spent times this season on the Chiefs and Texans practice squad. He spent time with the Jags and the Chiefs throughout his career. And Zach, I think I feel differently about this wide receiver signing compared to Josh Gordon.
You felt better about Josh Gordon, though. You did feel good about Josh Gordon.
I thought Josh Gordon would do more than he did, obviously.
I knew exactly the amount what Josh Gordon was going to be. No flash.
Well, there's a difference.
I was ahead of that. I told you it was trash.
That's fine. But the Titans signed Josh Gordon to the practice squad. The Titans signed Chris Conley to the active 53-man roster. There's a different level of commitment that the Titans are making to Chris Conley to what they did with Josh Gordon. Because when you take a player from another team's practice squad and sign them to your 53-man roster, you have to keep them for a minimum of 3 weeks. You cannot just steal somebody from the practice squad and be like, haha, got him, and then cut him after week 1. So, ironically, who are the Titans' next 2 opponents?
You have the Texans, who Chris Conley knows very, very well.
And then who is the next opponent after that?
Who do they play after that?
The Chiefs.
So yeah, that's right. On
Chris
Sunday
Conley
night.
This year has spent time with the Chiefs and the Texans this year. So
that makes zero difference. You have guys going from roster. That is stupid. We've seen that all. It was like Luke Falk getting cut and going to the Dolphins right before they played the Dolphins that year. Give me a break. So whatever you just said means zero to me. I'm sorry. I don't. Right, that doesn't matter at all. Can he play? Can he play? That's the question. Not what does he know about the systems and all that other stuff.
I think Chris Conley will be so much better than Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon in 2021 had 5 catches for 32 yards. The year before that, he had about 400 yards receiving between the Patriots and the Seahawks combined. And then so Chris Conley has done a lot more recently. Last year, he had with the Texans, he had 22 catches for 323 yards and 2 touchdowns. The year before that with Jacksonville, he had 470 yards and 2 touchdowns. In 2019 with the Jags, had over 700 yards and 5 touchdowns, and has really done a lot more over the last 4 years than what Josh Gordon has done. And also why I think he'll do more than Cody Hollister. The only thing Cody Hollister has on Chris Conley is the fact that Cody Hollister has caught 3 passes this season, because Conley has no stats. He's not been on an active roster. He's been on practice squad over this season so far. So Chris Conley is a better athlete. He is a more productive wide receiver. He is a more efficient wide receiver. He's somebody that can actually make plays and get open. He's done that throughout his career as a depth wide receiver for several different teams, and he's had success. Like, this guy is actually somebody who can go make a play physically. Like, Cody Hollister can't do that. Cody Hollister.
You said the same thing about Josh Gordon physically.
Josh Gordon.
You did. So here's where I struggle.
Zach,
and Jay, okay. No, hey, you said, you talked.
That's fine.
Jay, you getting the love of the show. Hope versus reality. I'll say reality or realistic. And that's where I'm at. You spit the same type, not exact, but the same type of jargon about Josh Gordon several weeks ago when I sat there and I told you that dude is trash. He's not going to come in and do a damn thing. He didn't. He came in. He was on the practice squad for weeks. He wasn't good enough. whether he couldn't learn the offense or wasn't good enough to be a part of the offense, which is wild because we're talking about Cody Hollister and some of the lesser wide receivers. I understand why the Titans did what they did with Chris Conley. My expectations are very low for Chris Conley. And the reason why is that's just the situation that they're in. They're just trying to bridge the gap for when Treylon Burks comes back off of IR. Now you have the uniqueness, as we said, the reason why they're doing this is because Kyle Phillips is now going to have to miss a minimum of 4 games, right? So he's not coming back anytime soon. He wasn't really doing much for you in the last couple of weeks due to injury. I get that. That's what I'm explaining. But I would rather, because of the reliability, and what did Cody Hollister honestly do on Sunday? The Tennessee Titans have told us when they're in a bind, they trust shopping at Hollister. They do. They want to get that 90s Hollister branded type clothing because Cody's coming off of a 32-yard receiving game with the long of 27. That's all they're asking Cody Hollister to do. They actually trust Cody Hollister. Now, can you build quick trust with Chris Conley? I don't know, maybe because of him being a veteran wide receiver. But Austin, I sat there and I told you in the chat that Cody Hollister was going to be more productive, that I would rather have Cody Hollister than Josh Gordon. I stand here today. I would rather have Cody Hollister than Chris Conley because the Titans, I believe, trust the Hollister house more than they do Chris Conley.
Well, I don't think, because there's a difference, Zach, in the Josh Gordon and Chris Conley acquisitions. Josh Gordon was always on the practice squad the entire time. Chris Conley signed the team. So that tells me that there's a difference.
They just had to put the wide receiver on IR. They need a roster spot. There's a reason why.
Zach, they cut Gordon to bring in another receiver on the practice squad.
Right, but Kyle Phillips was still dressing to a degree before. Now Burks is gone and Kyle Phillips is gone. So that leaves you with Robert Woods, that leaves you with NWI, and that leaves you with Cody Hollister. You need wide receivers to fill the roster.
Yes.
You're looking too far into why they actually signed him. They signed him because they need to fill the roster.
Yes, and Chris Conley has done way more in the NFL than Cody Hollister has in his career. And
I'm not arguing that. We're not talking about then. We're talking about now. We're talking about what the productivity has been from Cody Hollister on the Tennessee Titans compared. That's what we're talking about. So that's why, I'm not sitting here saying, look, I will say this. Chris Conley has more of an ability to give the Titans something than Josh Gordon did. Yes. But I still think that the Titans will ride with a guy that they trust over a new acquisition that they just signed to fill a roster spot.
But Chris Conley is a more athletic, explosive, developed, just overall better wide receiver than Cody Hollister.
That's fine.
The only thing
can lift more weights than Cody Hollister. It doesn't matter.
Everything I listed has something to do with actually playing receiver. When then you went with a weight room. That makes no sense. So like,
you didn't listen to the last 5 minutes of what I was saying. I just destroyed your argument based on productivity. I brought cold hard facts to the table. You wanted to compare one of the reasons why was Chris Conley just came off of the 2 teams that the Titans are about to play. So don't sit there and talk about bogus things.
That was a side note. And
you started your argument with that.
No, it was a quick, ironically, the Titans' next 2 opponents are. That was
which makes zero difference.
Okay.
That makes less difference than the weight room. My point is they trust Hollister. They've told us this, and he's been more consistently. This is a weird argument because usually you are on the side that I am on, which makes more logical sense in this case of what the Titans traditionally need to do. You usually look into the roster and I've been doing this show with you for a while.
Yeah.
This is usually your thought process, but I don't know why you are Conley. I don't know what Conley did to make
because he has ability. Because he actually has ability to do things. He has the ability to play a productive wide receiver, and he's done it recently. Like, Josh Gordon hasn't done it since 2018. Chris Conley has outproduced Josh Gordon over the last 3 years. He actually did some things last year with Houston. He didn't, like, Cody Hollister catches passes because people leave him open to say, hey, well, like Cody, you'll let Shaq shoot a three.
They need Cody Hollister to get open, and he has. Like, he literally, Cody Hollister has done is do his job.
No, again, my point is, I said this on Monday, that the Titans had 4 receivers active Sunday in that game against the Colts. Robert Woods and 3 undrafted free agents. Those undrafted free agents are work hard, try hard, effort, do everything type of guys. You have to have those on your roster to fill in a good football team. But when you have 3 of your 4 wide receivers, undrafted guys, there is a limit to their ability and skill set. Chris Conley has way better of an ability and a skill set than all 3 of those undrafted guys, NWI included.
So did Josh Gordon. That's what I'm saying. Their ceiling is higher.
No,
their ceiling is higher. That's not what you were telling me 3 weeks ago, though.
And I was
you
wrong
cannot
about
go back on that.
I was wrong about Josh Gordon.
But you can't go back on that, right? So Josh Gordon and Chris Conley's ceiling, because of their ability, is higher. But what I am saying is the trust. Cody Hollister, I'm not sitting here going to war with Cody Hollister saying he needs to be my wide receiver 1 and starting a franchise. I'm saying that the Titans, for what he does for this offense, that's not a very good offense, is just what they are requiring him to do, and he's filling that role. I expect that to bring you more productivity and more opportunity. I think Cody Hollister, like I said, I think Chris Conley, I don't think that it was a bad decision to pick him up. I think he's just a fill space for Treylon Burks coming back and possibly, and I don't know Racey McMath's situation, but if all of a sudden you blink twice in a couple of weeks and Burks and McMath are back, Chris Conley's obsolete.
So is Cody Hollister.
But Conley's more obsolete because he's given you 0 productivity to this point, and Hollister has at least given you some reliability.
Yeah, again, Chris Conley has done more in the NFL over the last 2 years than Cody Hollister. Cody Hollister has done more in the NFL than Josh Gordon did last year. Like, Cody Hollister's numbers last season were better than Josh Gordon's numbers last season. Chris Conley is
literally what I was arguing 3 weeks ago, and now you've come around the bit. But
I was wrong about Gordon. I'm not. I don't.
You
give
can't
a freaking
sit there
damn.
and argue something that you're like.
Zach, I'm done with Josh Gordon. It's over. I don't care. I was wrong. It's my fault. Whatever. Boom. Go over. This is about Chris Conley. Chris Conley has better ability as an actual wide receiver and a football player than anything Cody Hollister can do for you.
Yes, correct.
So
I
you
agree.
have upgraded your wide receiver. I think Chris Conley can actually have an impact on the Titans offense.
So that's the difference. I agree with your first statement. What you said to end, that's where we disagree. I believe that the opportunity will go to Cody Hollister first because they know that he knows where to go.
I don't disagree with that because I also understand. I'm not going to be stubborn and not understand the Titans. The Titans go with the guys they trust that are lesser athletes than the guys they bring in that might be better athletes. There will be a little bit of learning curve for Conley. I don't, but
by the time he curves, I believe that Burks and McMath will be closer to be back. That's my point. That's my logic. It makes too much sense.
I would rather at that point, I would rather continue rolling with Chris Conley and put Hollister back on the practice squad.
So, Titans in truth, you're literally saying that's literally not how you spell my name, and it's literally right here. I'm not one of those guys that misspell my name, but it's literally right below my chin right here. You say you're 100% wrong. Hollister is a blocking wide receiver that may catch 1 ball every 3 games. Most of the time he's on the field when they run. That's why the Titans in truth, here's your truth. This is my truth. I'm speaking my truth. And my truth is that Cody Hollister can block on a running football team. They run the football. They want to run the football. They will run the football. That makes the impact of Cody Hollister greater than Chris Conley. So Titans, that is the truth. I'm not 100% wrong. You are 100% right in saying what I am saying. So let's not get this twisted. I'm talking about impact. I'm not talking about talent, skill, ability, career receiving yards. I'm not talking about any of that BS. I'm talking about impact to the Titans offense. That's what I picked Cody Hollister over Chris Conley.
All right, and Titans in Truth apologizes for the misspell of the name there.
And I was giving you a hard time. And again, there's no ill will, but I have to explain what my point is, which it makes too much sense.
Yeah, but again, like the problem is we're having to compare a Titans new wide receiver to Cody Hollister.
The offense sucks. The offense blows. The offense is disastrous. It's not very good. They're winning games on this 4-game winning streak, not due to their offense. And so what this tells me, Austin, is that they're trying to improve in any way possible with the cards that they were dealt. And unfortunately, Kyle Phillips goes down with a hamstring. You can't do anything about it, so you got to go find somebody. So they're actively trying, but it's October 26th. There's not going to be guys.
And I think, this is my opinion, that Chris Conley is the best receiver they've added since training camp broke. So, I mean, that includes Josh Gordon. It includes CJ Board, who they cut Josh Gordon for. It includes Cody Hollister. It includes Des Fitzpatrick and Mason Kinsey, who've been elevated from the practice squad. Chris Conley is better than all of those guys. He's better than those guys. So they have gotten more talented over the last day at the wide receiver position. How quickly can Conley get in here? He is a smart guy. He's very smart. And so we know that from his time at Georgia, and we interviewed him pre-draft back in 2015. So
it's also team jumping, right? So there is value to the reason that he was available.
But there's also, at this point, it's Terrence Mitchell, it's Andrew Adams, it's Chris Conley. It's you go find a veteran who has team jump. The team jumping is a benefit here, meaning that they understand that they can go in and pick up an offense pretty quickly because they've been doing it a few times.
Yes and no, right? Like there's value to that, but there's a reason why they're team jumping.
There's a positive, there's pros and cons list for both of those things. But again, I think Chris Conley's better than all the other guys I mentioned. Kinsey, Hollister, Board, Fitzpatrick, Josh Gordon.
Dude, if Chris Conley can do what Andrew Adams did on Sunday, then they stole a game. He's not going to probably do that consistently, but if he could do that one time, then it was the right signing. And this is the prediction game, right? We have no idea what Chris Conley is actually going to do. I just feel like the opportunity is going to go to this, this mall store built in 1922, more so than Chris Conley.
All right, let's throw some shade here on this Wednesday. We always throw shade on Wednesdays. But first, Zach, tell everybody about Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Yeah, FBHP.com is where to go to get your brand new health plan. I got my brand new health plan at the beginning of 2022. When we signed a deal with Farm Bureau Health Plans, we kind of rolled the dice. Like the Titans are rolling the dice on Josh Gordon, rolling the dice on Chris Conley. I rolled the dice on Farm Bureau Health Plans. But here's the thing. Is I know they were going to impact my life in a positive way. And the reason why I knew 100% better rate, better coverage, better service. I got all three compared to my old plan from my previous last couple of years. 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee. Visit fbhp.com/ATOZ. Take a health assessment, get a quote, and realize that this plan is better than your old plan like I did. FBHP.com/A-to-Z.
While you're at it, download the BetMGM app. Use our code ATOZ Sports to get a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000. Right as I clicked on this, I just got an email from BetMGM with NBA odds. I like betting on the NBA is really fun. And now you got to wait to see what these teams look like. Give it a couple months. But while you're at it, you download the BetMGM app and use our code ATOZ Sports, and you get a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000. A great way to start your sports betting fun with BetMGM. time to throw shade here on the show to get to wrap up our Wednesday show. We always throw shade on Wednesdays. Zach, you said you have 2 shades? You're a 2-for-1 shade.
I'm a 2-for-1 shade. Okay. I'll let you go read some shades from the comment section. I gotta get a graphic prepared for my shade. It's pretty much done, but
Donald says shade on Kanye for fumbling the bag so hard. Yeah, Kanye got some stuff going on. More shades from you guys. Ty says throwing shade on people that can't park from our earlier conversation. Let's see. More shade to come in from you guys. Let's see. Tiffany, shade on local Gold's Gym no longer offering overnight hours. I work 3rd shift, so that really sucks. That does really suck for you there, Tiffany. Xavier says shade on Dylan Radins just cause. Like, I think Dylan Radins probably been one of the better offensive linemen the last couple of weeks. Anthony says shade on John Robinson still. Bobby says, I have self-shade today. I used to make fun of Austin when he brought up his dogs and people ringing the doorbell, but now that I have cats, I get it. They freak out. Yeah, I don't have a doorbell, but people just knock on the door when they deliver things when I have in the notes on the delivery of please don't knock. Maybe that's just them trying to make stuff up. Let's see. Danny says, shade on TJ Dillashaw's shoulder costing me my UFC parlay. Only thing I missed and would have hit it for 300. Oof. That's pretty brutal there too. Shade on Jim Irsay from Scott. Devin says throwing shade on Norman with those stadium renderings. That's something we didn't talk about earlier, I don't think, Zach, is that on the Jumbotron there on the renderings, you see the image of Derrick Henry throwing shade on stiff arming Josh Norman there on the Jumbotron. So what is your shade here today, Zach?
So my shade goes towards what is happening in college football. And it is made note all week for 2 instances over the weekend that did not need to happen. What is Clemson doing rushing the field for beating Syracuse? What world are we living in when Clemson is rushing the field on a 14th ranked Syracuse?
Well, do you know the answer?
What are we doing with LSU rushing the field after being Ole Miss, who I have documented and everybody knows that they have not played anybody, right? LSU still has to play Alabama. Tennessee rushed the field because they hadn't beaten Alabama in decades, right? That makes sense. But LSU and Brian Kelly and Clemson, and I guess there is a reason for this, but I don't understand it.
LSU, I don't get as much. Maybe the first year coach Brian Kelly, there's his first signature win, top 10. I don't know, but I'm with you on that. Clemson actually does this after every home win. And it's students. After every home win, Clemson students go onto the field. It's it's their tradition. It's a very high school vibe.
I mean, it's a terrible picture because I screenshotted it, but
that's Zach. I'm just telling you, that's the ACC doesn't find them because they view that as tradition. And it's
because they don't have as many big time matchups during the year.
Right. But again, I don't know. It feels very high schoolish because, when after your high school team wins and you do the huddle and you got families and students all around the high school, football team taking a knee, listening to the coach. It feels very high school, but that's what Clemson does after every home win. And
how have I guess I've been living under a rock or not. And I watch Clemson games, but usually it's over and then I move on to something else. I learned something today.
It was a home game where Clemson was on upset alert against an undefeated team. And so I think because of how the game ended, how the game script went with the upset alert, and that the fact that Syracuse was undefeated and Clemson came back to win that game, it felt like that was more of a reaction emotion. But no, that's just what they do.
Well, I'm with Borkington. Great name, great comment. That's a dumb tradition.
Yes.
That tradition is dumb. So I have now parlayed my shade into LSU for rushing against Ole Miss, number 7, when they didn't need to do that. They play Alabama later in the year. And shade on the dumb tradition that Clemson has of rushing the field after each home game. Give me a break.
Yeah, pretty.
So it actually worked out.
So my shade stays in college football and stays in the SEC. My shade is on Nick Saban and Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler for what they did with the Jermaine Burton incident in the Alabama-Mississippi State game this past weekend. We've all seen the video of Jermaine Burton, the Alabama player, slapping and just hitting the UT female student on the field there. Nick Saban, his excuse or reason, whatever, was they handled it internally, that he said his players were scared, and that's why Burton hit the female. That's complete BS. And then my shade goes on Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler for buying that rhetoric from Nick Saban and spewing it all over ABC's airwaves during the broadcast of the game. Because Jermaine Burton played in the game against Mississippi State when he should not have been. He should have been suspended for a half, suspended for something. There is zero excuse to do what he did. He was not threatened. He was walking towards the tunnel, and there was a female there not threatening him in any way. They crossed paths, and he just took a big hand out and smacked her in the head. And that's ridiculous. And for the fact that he had nothing done to him, and Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler bought it and tried to sell it to everybody else, is messed up. That's my shade.
Yeah, I saw the video before they came down with the ruling of Nick Saban and what he did. And so I didn't form an opinion on basically exactly what happened, because and I do think a phone was involved, but I also do think that Burton did make contact with her, which you cannot do, right? So like
Bud Dupree did the same thing in a Walgreens about a phone. Bud Dupree did it because of a phone.
I know it's a different, or apples and oranges. You're in a completely different situation. Come on, like Bud Dupree was openly arguing with that person. So like,
I understand.
Come on. So
but he went after I
cannot support.
Zach,
that doesn't make any sense.
Stop talking
Shade
for a
on
second. My point is, no,
don't bring that up.
My point is, going after a phone is irrelevant.
No, that's what I'm saying is, it's not my job to do the investigation. So I actually don't give a damn, to be honest. It's their job to do the investigation and figure out and diagnose what happened. Now, whether somebody was scared or not, that's what he's saying. I don't necessarily buy that. But, I've never also been a part of a losing team. And we all know what that win meant for Tennessee and how everything was going. If fans, and that's what they do, after a big win, they usually find the opposing team and say something, right? I'm not saying that happened. I think Nick Saban is the king of getting what he wants. And Nick Saban in this way has too much built up power of whatever he's going to do. College football is going to respect because of handling it internally. Jimbo Fisher tried to do that same thing. If you've read that story about smoking weed right before the game, right? You try to handle things internally, but sometimes they get out of hand where they don't. I'm not anti your shade, because I do think that more should have happened.
He is caught on video making contact with a female.
Yeah, I know.
Inexcusable.
But again, they rushed the field, right? So
I don't care.
But they are in the player's space.
Zach,
that's why you get fined.
How many times have we seen fans? Clemson did it for the 38th consecutive time. And what happens?
It doesn't mean anything.
Zach,
you just told me it doesn't mean anything. The Tennessee, Alabama,
Zach,
that meant something.
Do not in any way, you cannot make an excuse or try to explain away the fact that a football player made physical contact with his arm to a female.
Did you listen to? You're not listening.
Matter.
Today you've struggled with listening to what I've said.
That's not true.
I said that something more should have been done.
Okay, but
did
again,
you hear that? No, I'm
yes.
asking you. Did you hear that?
Yes.
So then your previous statement is moot. It
I don't
doesn't
want to
make
hear
any sense.
because there have been hundreds and hundreds and thousands of athletes who have been in Jermaine Burton's situation who have not put their hands on a fan.
I agree. Well, so then what did the female student come out and say? What is that story? Again, it's not my responsibility to do the damn investigation. So that's my point. I would want you to listen to that.
I heard that.
So what did the female student come out and say about the situation?
That Burton, that she was not doing anything to Burton. He walked by her and hit her.
Is she seeking any? Is there a lawsuit out? Is there something? Has she?
I don't know.
But all of these facts. What I'm saying is, again, I told you that I believe that there should have been harsher punishment. But what I'm saying is, you are throwing shade on something, and what I'm saying is, I need more information on what happened. So
and again,
initially, yes, I do believe that there should be more punishment, but I also need to hear her side of the story. I need to hear his side of the story. I need to see video evidence. I need to see what she felt. If he felt scared, what did she feel? Right? If he felt scared, if she felt a slap or a hit in her face, that is more than being scared, right?
I mean,
but I have to hear both sides of the story. That's how we live in.
Again, and I'm not saying Jermaine Burton should go to jail. I'm not saying he should be kicked out the team, but he shouldn't have played against Mississippi State. That's nothing happened.
That's why I believe a harsher punishment should have come down, but I also have to hear both sides of the story. That's my point.
I think regardless of it, that what he did is inexcusable. And what was caught on video that he did on making physical contact with a female fan on the field is inexcusable. And there's no way that anybody can reason away that it's inexcusable, right?
What's inexcusable is to not fairly make a judgment based on the whole situation. That is what I am saying. So you can attack me for whatever you think I said. What Caleb, new love of the show, double loves of the show. The second love of the show goes to Caleb because this is simply what I'm stating. I'm not disagreeing with your shade on the sense of harsher punishment should have come down, but I have to hear both sides of the story. And Alabama, and I don't know whether they did this or not, should hear both sides of the story. We live in a society too much where we don't. That's my issue. That's why I hate cancel culture more than anything in this effing world. Sometimes people do need to be fired because of the decisions they make, but sometimes we do need to understand and share both sides of the story. And we don't do that enough.
But
so
again,
that's where I'm standing up and saying, I need to hear both sides of the story to really make a full assessment on what needs to happen.
My main shade is on Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler for just spewing what Nick Saban told them to say in a production meeting. That's what that looked like.
That's fair. But the actual situation is different than that.
All right. So that is throwing shade here on the show. We wrap up every Wednesday with throwing shade.
that was a turn right there at the end.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's
shade. It is what it is.
Yeah, and we've said our piece on that. I think it's completely inexcusable for what Burton did on the field to her, and that's kind of all I have to say about that. But tomorrow morning, live here on a Thursday, we've got the Magic Bucket. We'll also turn towards more football topic for the Titans as well, as they try to win their 5th straight game, this time on the road at Houston. But make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Titans are back on the practice field today. Sam Phelan will be in the locker room and on the practice field later on today as well. So check back with the YouTube channel to find all the content from today's practice and the locker room session. So subscribe to the YouTube channel and also like the show before you go on YouTube and Facebook. So like the show before you go. Buck Rising live tonight, A to Z Sports Primetime. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow morning. Appreciate it as always.
Adios.